Some people call him Vaughn of the podcast. Welcome everyone to Super Audio Robo Podcast Z. I'm Ark, that's Neff, and this is the show where we recommend you the finest mecha contents for your cultural and artistic development.
And today we have a show with no asterisks to it, and something we don't have to go hear us out on.
Yeah, a nice break after our after the big 25th episode.
Yeah.
And you likely would not have any idea how to guess what the show was unless you listened all the way to the end of the episode and had it spoiled for you. Thanks, Static. But we're talking about Gun X Sword. Or Gun Sword, I guess it's supposed to be. I don't know. The X is silent. Fuck it.
Gun X Sword sounds cooler than Gun Sword. That's my take. That's my hot take of today.
I at least tried to do the names properly, but by the same token, even before I watched this anime, I also kept calling it Gun X Sword, so who cares?
Yeah. It's not like we're talking about Hunter x Hunter here.
No, obviously. That show doesesn't even have robots.
No.
Is it even worth anything?
No, it's worth nothing. If a show doesn't have robots, then what's the point?
Robots or magical girl.
Yeah.
Those are the only two criteria for anime that we will accept.
So why don't we start off with the synopsis of Gun Sword?
Sure. Yeah. Goes like this. In the far reaches of space, there is a planet simply known as Endless Illusion. What started as a prison for humanity's dredges soon became a world where every rogue seeks out their most desperate dreams. On this planet is a drifter, Vaughn of the Dawn, though he's known by many other nicknames, who travels across the whole world in pursuit of his one goal, to kill the Claw, the man responsible for taking the life of his bride and nearly his own. Armed with a shape-shifting sword and possessing the powerful armor known as Dawn of Thursday, his journey of revenge will see him, unintentionally, making many allies who all have some connection to the Claw and his many accomplices. We got us a tale of revenge here, folks.
Yeah, it's a tale of revenge and also a Western story, or a Western mecha. But
yeah, well,
well,
depending on who's talking about it, that perspective might change. But
Yeah.
that's the prehistory on this isn't too deep, so we might as well get into it right now and get the main points out of the way, because there's at least one aspect of it that I never realized was actually kind of the thing about Gun Sword during its production until looking up details about the staff that worked on it. Because Gun Sword is a super robot anime and most definitely not a space western with giant robots produced by Studio AIC in 2005. Specifically, its subdivision at the time, Asta, because AIC historically has been a big studio that is warranted needing 8 different groups within itself or some shit. But AIC, I guess for those that don't know, is short for Anime International Company, and has had a hand in a number of anime series that date all the way back to the late 80s. Some of them have been mecha anime. Funny enough, I realized when I was looking this stuff up that in the couple years prior to Gun Sword, they did another mecha series called Godanar.
Yeah, which is a very different kind of series for this.
Yeah, it is very much of that type of early 2000s robots send up type of anime that also inexplicably has a shit ton of fan service because audiences demand it. Look, it was the same thing with Gravion. Yeah. It's no surprise. Yeah. But more notably, I guess, not a mecha series specifically, but this is one that has some value to me and maybe you. We both at least remember this, but yeah, they've worked on multiple entries for the Tenchi Muyo series, dating all the way back to the original Ryo-Oki OVAs.
They've been around for a long time.
Still the only harem anime worth a shit. I'll still stand by that. But obviously, it's not just the studio name itself isn't always what's responsible for the creation of an anime. You obviously got to have people in very important positions leading the charge on it. So for Gun Sword's director, we have Goro Taniguchi. Past credits for him are also quite vast. His earlier works show him working as a storyboard artist and directing individual episodes for multiple Sunrise anime. And this includes Gundam and the Brave series. So already quite a lot of history working on any kind of anime in the genre itself. And only a couple years after this particular anime, he would direct, I think, what these probably would be most recognized for, and that is Code Geass.
Oh, yeah, and okay, I have to mention something that has been bugging me for the longest time, because I feel like I'm going crazy whenever I remember this, because maybe I was lied to. I don't know. I've tried looking this up, and I have failed to find this information again. But I swear, at one point, I've read that Goro Taniguchi was a seed hater, and that has somehow bled into some of his works, like some into Gunnex Sword and in Code Geass. And I can kind of believe that, but take it with the biggest grain of salt. Like, I could have been lied to. There are moments in both of those shows, in both this show and Code Geass, where I'm like, oh, I can kind of see some of the seed hate, but that could be me being a seed hater. Yeah, and
whatever. I think it's more fun to believe it, even if it is not true.
It's probably not true.
I could get behind the idea of haters like being all like game recognized game.
Yeah.
But like you mentioning that and thinking back to certain moments in Gun Sword, I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, that's starting to line up.
Yeah, it's like, maybe there is some validity to it. Probably not. Don't listen to me here.
Yeah, it could just be projection. I don't know.
Projection.
I know people have tried to, like, I guess, pass that idea on, saying that, oh, Tomino actually hated all the AU Gundams and all the other stuff that wasn't his own, even though, like, we've clearly had enough time pass and other stuff he's worked on, including his own AU Gundam series, that it's like, no, he's not.
No,
he's not being that kind of hater towards it. He doesn't care anymore.
He doesn't care. Yeah, but that was my tangent. I just had to get that out of the way so we could continue on.
But it was worth it, though. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
But I mean, if you want to like go with something about Goro Taniguchi that is actually confirmed true, is that the comment I made earlier about Gun Sword not being a Western series is no joke. It was not made up for this podcast, because the director himself has stated it, that this is a mecha anime first, despite the aesthetic similarities you might see to Westerns. And, you know, speaking more truthfully, other genres, really, because there's a whole lot of episodes that they all do not follow like the same, like, sort of like Western tropes and pastiches. Yeah. They definitely do go crazy and out there on a bunch of the one-off episodes that you get. Mm-hmm. But aside from director, probably like the number 2 person that has like the most recognition working on this is Hideyuki Kurata, who did the screenwriting for Gun Sword, done screenwriting on a bunch of other anime, as well as written for manga, such as, for instance, Read or Die.
I would never have connected the both shows.
But it's also, I think, kind of like to the show's benefit having Kurata work on this, because of the episodic format that it works with. From what I was able to like parse from like looking at like all the production info I could find, is that a lot of like the order of work that was done seemed to stem largely from like scenarios that Kurata would write for all the different episodes, and just being like so batshit sometimes that it was like a lot of the character designs and even like mecha used and like all the other stuff with the setting were basically designed after, just to kind of match what he was writing down.
Oh, wow. I mean, considering...
Which, again, I believe that.
Yeah, I can believe that. Especially considering how crazy some of these episodes can get.
You know, while still knowing to... remind you that, oh yeah, there is a story. There is still a narrative through line connecting all this.
Yeah.
But you can always get a lot of mileage out of like the whole concept of a drifter wanders into town and gets roped into like the town's problems and has to solve it. Or not. I don't know. It depends.
It depends.
There are definitely some scenarios when you watch it where it's like, oh, you did not solve anything.
No.
Or maybe technically, but like, what value did we gain out of this?
Like, did we really save the city? Did we really save anything? Kinda, I guess.
All right, but eventually the anime would air for 26 episodes in 2005, from July 4th to December 26th. Cold's hidden large respects. I mean, for fuck's sake, 2005, we already had like quite a number of different mecha anime from that year alone. Genesis of Aquarion, Eureka 7, and that's as far as good ones, obviously. But Gun Sword, I'm actually curious hearing from your perspective, because I know for a fact that like I got around to watching it after you, but like when did you get to Gun Sword? Because I feel this is an anime that has been like, like again, compared to a lot of others from the decade, kind of an underground hit.
I think it was somewhere around the late 2000s. I forgot when it was exactly, but I heard it was around, if you want to know how ancient I am, it was in the Something Awful anime forums where some people started talking about the show, and they're like, yeah, if you like mecha shows, you should check out Gun Sword. And I think that's when I was like, this looks interesting. And that's like where how I came to like find out about it.
I was admittedly more of a late bloomer on that regard, although I'm like still, I would say, about as ancient as you are, so I don't feel bad about you like outing your history like that. I get it.
Yeah.
But it was the sort of thing where it's like, it definitely hits you in a way, I guess, just to summarize it, where it's like, you don't realize how many people out there actually have seen something like Gun Sword or talked about it until you watch it yourself, and then it's all of a sudden it's like things that you were blind to, or you suddenly realize were there in plain sight.
Oh, things like what?
Stuff with like, I don't know, like various GIFs I've seen, or stuff related to like, one particular super robot in the show.
Oh, yeah.
But it's definitely one where I think even then, like another contributing factor to it is, because we basically mentioned this one video game franchise like on the podcast almost every episode, maybe every episode. I'd have to go back and check and do a running tally. I would be shocked if we somehow missed one. But Super Robot Wars, especially with some of its international releases in like the past decade, I have also done a lot to, I think, put more of a spotlight on Gun Sword than it did even during the time when you first watched it, back when like internet forum threads were like, being like, hey, watch Gun Sword if you want to watch this cool thing. Because I think even like some of like the side handheld games like K or whatever, stuff that was like on the DS at the time had Gun Sword, but those were never the headlining Super Robot games. At that time it was Z. Yeah. The Z games were where that shit was at. But then I think it's like with the combined as well with Super Robot becoming, finally being able to like release their games internationally, like Gun Sword being included in at least 2 of those games, I think did a lot to like get, at least from like the circles I've been in, like actually see more people talk about Gun Sword and acknowledge that it is an anime that exists.
Yeah, it has definitely been like putting it in like, I think it was T and something else, but like
T and 30. And 30 was definitely, I think, like the other big one, because that was an anniversary game.
Yeah, and that was also released internationally, and you didn't have to like go through the Asian store to buy it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I think just having it be in those games helped a lot. Like just made people go, "Oh, what's this thing? Oh, this looks cool."
Yeah, and then it's like, "Oh, it is cool." And it's a complete story, Yeah. Like Gun Sword is basically like, it is just that anime, never really had any follow-up material, but like as you'll find, doesn't really need it.
Yeah, it's a complete story.
Yeah, they did a good job, like, actually setting out to do what they planned to that year. That's the prehistory, like, short and simple, relatively speaking. So let's get into our mecha and our characters, because compared to, like, past anime from that we have talked about, that is, like, from this decade, we're definitely sure in our belief that yes, this is a super robot anime, because our robots in particular are very distinct and out there and just fucking roll with whatever ideas they have, depending on who like the writer associated with it is.
A lot of it's just go with it. Don't think about how the function of these robots too hard.
Especially when it comes to our protagonist, giant robot, Dawn of Thursday, one of 7 robots as part of what was called the original 7. Basically, considering that Endless Illusion, which, again, yeah, that is still the name of the planet. That's one of the best names for a fucking planet, I think.
Yeah.
It's the kind of name that I think also works well if you want to, like, christen a starship with it.
It's definitely got the same flavor. Like, I can see it there, too.
But the original 7, their context with, like, the planet of Endless Illusion being, like, a prison colony, Space Australia. I guess that's the other way that we can summarize it.
Yeah, this is just...
This is Space Australia, and the original 7 were effectively the wardens.
Yeah.
They were there to police the planet and just, like, curb any, like, attempts to, like, cause massive problems on the planet, or worse, escape.
Mm-hmm.
But unfortunately, so much time has passed that, like, much like Australia, it is no longer a penal colony, but it is just the Wild West with robots.
Yeah.
And the original 7 have, like, the original 7, I guess I should say, are no longer a thing. Like, their robots were basically left dormant until, like, a new group of people came around to, like, basically gain access to these robots and form, like, their new modern version of like the original group, but with a very different goal. At least the commonality between Don and all the other robots in the original 7 is that they are extremely powerful, like, armors that don't even share the same design or silhouette between each one. Again, adding to the fact that, like, all these robots are extremely different and, like, crazy original ideas depending on what they feel like.
Mm-hmm.
But you could at least expect them to be stored in, like, orbiting satellites that get shot down to the planet's surface when called. And also, in order to even pilot these things, which don't even have a very traditional cockpit to say the least, like, requires their pilot to be genetically modified to even interface with it properly in a way that's, like, basically, like, synchronizing, like, your life signs with, like, your robot, I guess you could say.
Something like that, yeah.
But Don's design, at the very least, since you see it the most, it's obviously, like, the one of the original 7 you remember the most, and for good reasons, because it is a very sleek, cool as hell looking robot, like, white armor plating with, like, a black inner frame that, will change color in such a way that, like, when you see it, with this being a 2005 anime, early years of Digipaints, you're like, yes, good job taking advantage of those mask layers.
Yeah, definitely helps the mech look a lot more striking.
And Don's particular armament is, like, a very big ass sword that's, like, almost, like, mounted onto the back in a way that, if you didn't know better, you would think it was, like, some kind of shoulder mounted cannon. But no, it's like, it's just, like, a giant blade that can be, like, like, unsheathed and pulled apart in all kinds of different ways for use in close range battle. That's Don. That's the original 7 robots in a nutshell, and they are very clearly meant to be so much more OP compared to all the other armors.
Yeah.
But there are at least a few others out there that manage to hold their own in different ways.
Yeah.
For instance, the mecha that I think best exemplifies what the director was talking about of this not being a Western anime, Eldora 5, aka fuck you, we just made our own Combatler V and modeled it after Gal Gaigar.
Yeah,
it's sick.
It's our own super robot.
Also, it's Mexican.
Yes. We just stole some attacks from Gal Gaigar too. Don't worry about it.
Oh yeah, we have our own version of Hell and Heaven. That's nothing. It's fine.
Don't worry.
One of the machines attaches to the back of the robot, like the stealth gal.
Yeah,
it's fine.
It's fine.
But even so, the Combatler V reference is no joke, because it is, like, the way it is formed, it is made up of 5 machines, each of them a different color corresponding to their pilot, and the machines are referred to as amigos. So you have red amigo, blue amigo, pink amigo, etc. I mean, like, all the colors are red, blue, yellow, green, and pink. It's the original Super Sentai, like, classic color order, basically. It's fucking awesome.
It's great.
It's so awesome, and you think that this show is going to, like, it is peaking way too early, because you see this thing in the 3rd fucking episode.
It appears so early. It's great.
And even better, it's not even a one-off.
No, it's a reoccurring robot in the show.
Yeah.
They knew.
Yeah, because especially with the pilots in particular, and how they kind of factor into like our main group of heroes. It's the sort of thing where, again, because of how episodic this stuff was, and the fact that, you know, like a lot of what got made for the, like, within each individual episode aesthetically and whatnot was done to try and match the scenarios written by Kurata. It's like, I do have to wonder if, like, halfway through production when they were making these episodes, they just looked back at all these one-offs and were like, fuck, this Eldora 5, like, we really made something special. We can't just let this, like, sit by the wayside after one episode. Like, that's the only way I can, like, internalize how it still manages to show up as, like, the show continues on.
Yeah, it's such a striking, like, robot compared to everything else. And it's like, if it was just a one-off, that would be a giant strike against the show. It'd be like, why'd you show up the coolest robot and not have it appear again?
Like even all the other one-offs that you get where a lot of crazy shit happens, sometimes arguably more crazy than the episode Eldora 5 shows up in. It's like, you're still not getting any robot that, like, leaves as strong of an impression as this one does.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there are other robots that still try, and they do persist throughout the rest of the series, such as Brownie. So if we went from, like, a sleek black and white robot to our own homage to 70s super robots, we have something that looks like an orbital frame, but without the cockpit.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's way more sleek and, like, mobile, and also has a cursed face design. I hate that. I hate the cat design look.
I guess. I mean, well, whatever. Do you think it looks worse or better when it sheds its armor? Because that's the other part of the design, is that it has, like, extra, like, defense armaments on it.
I think when it sheds its armor, I'm like, the face doesn't do it for me.
I guess that makes sense, yeah. I think it's because of the ears, I feel, that, like, with how it's designed, it's like, I'm expecting, like, the head shape to be more in line with something like Anubis.
Yeah, something more like that. I get what they're going for here, though, so I can respect it at least.
And at least it's, like, tied to a character who becomes reoccurring after this robot's introduction, because it lasts all the way to the end of the show.
Yeah.
And also to further highlight that, yes, armors can just be whatever the hell they want, compared to all the previous ones where it's like, you know, Dawn of Thursday, like any of the original 7 mecha, really, you have to be genetically modified to be able to interface it, usually with, like, a weapon of choice implanted into, like, the center cockpit, and then just using that to manipulate it. Eldora 5 is a lot more traditional, you know, 5 machines, they combine, and then all of the pilots end up getting transferred into, like, a central, like, ship bridge type of cockpit. Brownies, meanwhile, is motion tracking. It's just G-Gundam.
It's G-Gundam. It's literally G-Gundam. It's so funny.
And then lastly, the final one that I could, like, pick out of the entire list that I felt was, like, really worth talking about is Volcane, a robot that initially was a mining armor. Like, it's one of those classic cases of, like it came from another show, you know, arguably a real robot show, where, like, the backstory would have been like, oh, these robots were made for, like, more mundane, like, hard labor purposes, before someone got the bright idea of, like, let's put guns on it.
It's got more of a, like you said, like, a more of a real robot look. And it's also, it does the thing I kind of love with mechs, where it's like, okay, we have the design. What if we put a cape on it now?
Yeah, and that cape is fucking sick.
It's so sick.
I've seen, like model kits or, like, figures of, like, various gun sword like armors that have been released, and unsurprisingly, the one for Volcane, they understood the assignment. They gave him his fucking cape.
Yeah, if you put a shoulder cape on a mech, it instantly, like, raises the cool factor by 10.
Like, this dark red converted mining armor with like a badass cloak and a howitzer goddamn, like, sniper cannon. This is, compared to all the others, on top of the fact that it has a lot more of, like, as you'd expect, a more traditional mecha cockpit kind of interface like you would expect compared to the previous ones. This is a long-range powerhouse of a robot that's tied to another important character. Yes, like, it's a good thing that, like, a lot of the major characters that like show up frequently in this show, like if they do have a giant robot, you remember it for very good reason.
Yeah. Also, like, it is the gun in Gun Swords.
Yeah.
In a way,
well,
I guess.
In a way.
In a way.
I mean, to this day, it's like I've never really spent time thinking about what the fuck the meaning behind the title of the anime is, because it really does just feel like we put two words together to make it sound cool.
Pretty much, yeah. It is, like, otherwise it's just a cool title. I think that's probably it. There's no deeper meaning to it.
Especially with the X, even if it's technically not supposed to be said, they put it in there just because they wanted to have like that jagged cross look to it.
Yeah, also I feel like the whole adding an X to a title adding an X to a title is just a thing they do in Japan sometimes.
It's like you have no idea going in if it's like, oh, are they going to actually pronounce it as the letter? Are they going to make it silent? Are they going to say it's cross? Because yeah, sure. All right. Yeah.
Sure.
I mean, I played both Project Cross Zone games to understand that is a thing, and that I can no longer trust the Japanese in terms of how they use this letter.
Yeah, sure. It's Street Fighter Cross Tekken, not Street Fighter X Tekken. Whatever you say, guys. Now, why don't we go into like the characters, the actual characters of the show?
Yeah, time to talk about like our star asshole. I mean, hero. I mean, our main character is Vaughn. No last name, just a whole bunch of nicknames. He starts out as Vaughn of the Dawn. Eventually adopts a bunch of different names, some of them much less flattering.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But before eventually circling back around to being like, yeah, no, Vaughn of the Dawn, that's who I am. It's like, all right, sure. That still doesn't change the fact that this is a very, very revenge-driven... I'm not going to say edgelord. That's a different character.
No, this guy is not Guts. He is not like an angry man out for revenge. He is...
I mean, I was more specifically referring to a character in this show.
Oh, in this show. Okay, he's not like another character in the show, which we'll talk about.
But that's also true. Yeah, because he's like a lot more of Vaughn's antics are played for comedy, because he is a very slim, practically unhealthily slim, I would say, man that walks around in like a... They call it like a tuxedo jacket, but I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, I guess. I would sooner call it like a black leather overcoat or something. I don't know. But like, yeah, it's like that kind of jacket and like a cowboy hat. I mean, the design itself is like why when people like first get a glimpse of it, they think, oh, cool, space western.
Yeah, pretty much.
And yet somehow he doesn't have a gun.
No, he's got a sword. That's his main weapon.
Like a belt sword, I guess you could say, since I think like its default form is like it's wrapped around like his waistline like a belt, but he's able to just whip it out, and it's like this like shape-shifting metallic alloy that creates like quite a weird shape for a sword already.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you can already tell, despite the looks, doesn't fight like you would expect someone like him to be. But that's at least like the coolest parts of him, because personality-wise, like he is a weirdo to put it mildly.
Bro is a cat. He's a living cat most of the time. He's just kind of like whatever, and like just kind of laid back about everything, or at least
he's lazy. He's antisocial. He is very easily lightheaded.
Yeah,
because he forgets to eat or drink half the time. And when he does eat, oh boy, you'll wish that he didn't.
The things he does to food are some of the most monstrous things you'll see in this series, because it is a crime. How much condiments he puts in one meal.
How many condiments you want? Yes. That's his thinking. And I want to say I've seen people try to like come up with like much deeper reasoning for like why his food palette is like that. When I think like the more straightforward answer is to just go the Occam's razor route and go, no, you idiot, he has the palate of a child.
I think the reason is
this is what a dumb 6-year-old would do. It's the same type of shit as a kid that like puts ketchup on everything.
I think it's also the reason is probably because it's funny.
And that too, yes.
It's probably that as well.
Least of all because he is such a frustrating character for like a lot of the other, members of the cast to deal with.
Yeah.
Because he just wants to find the Claw and kill him. and doesn't really care how he gets there. He's just going to do it.
How does he do it? He'll figure it out.
He'll get it eventually. I don't know, but it's a pain for everyone, especially Wendy Garrett, our other protagonist, and like the main companion for Vaughn throughout his journey. Pretty much like as soon as like the first episode ends, like she's like a young girl, braided twin tails. Has a pet turtle that she keeps with her named Cameo, and is like has it made into a necklace. I know that sounds a lot more morbid than it is, but it's more like there's a string attaching to like the shell, so that it's like she wears like the string like around the necklace, and like Cameo basically just hides inside its shell and looks like a pendant on it. That's the best way to describe it. And she has a gun.
And she's
though don't expect her to use it. It's only got one bullet.
She has a gun. Is she gonna use it? Just watch the show to find out.
You at least know that like the gun was left behind with her by her brother Mikhail, who she has reason to go after the Claw, but it is not for revenge purposes.
No,
because her brother went missing and basically has been seen going with like has been seen in the company of like a man with like a claw on his arm, which matches the description of who Vaughn is going after. Wendy's going along because she has to know, like, is her brother a hostage? Is he okay? What is going on? And it's obviously more complicated when you find out what the deal is.
Oh, it absolutely is.
Poor Wendy. She's very much like the center of morality that, like, I guess, like, viewers are supposed to, like, kind of identify with first as, like, the outsiders looking into this, like, insane Australia planet.
Yeah, like I was about to say, she's the moral center of this show, and she's the one who keeps Van on the straight and narrow most of the time, as much as she can with that guy. And
even then, as things get more dire, she does get pushed to like more drastic measures of her own.
Yeah,
she's willing to do some shit.
She is.
Because it's like there's no other way to solve this problem
but violence.
Yeah. Or at least the overwhelming threat of it.
That too.
Which I think is more preferable in well, certainly in a lot of situations I can think of today. But anyway, we have other characters in this show that are a bit closer to Vaughn in that they are like a lot more willing to get down and dirty when it calls for it. Such as Carol Mendoza, a.k.a. Carmen, a.k.a. Carmen 99, because she is very proud of the fact that her breast is 99 centimeters.
Okay.
That is true.
Yeah,
it true. Is after her bust line.
Yeah. Listen, this is the kind of show we're talking about.
It's the 2000s, all right. It was a different time.
Yeah, it's a different time.
And considering all the isekai slop we got these days, I consider it a better time.
It was a different kind of slop, but like at least this doesn't go there.
Fair. Okay.
Yeah, but
whatever. At least Carmen, her deal is that like she's an info broker that has like that has ties to Vaughn, like even prior to the show starting. Doesn't have an armor of her own. She can still kick ass though with a bladed yo-yo. Yeah, it's not just the robots that are weird and out there. We even got weapons that characters can just whip out any time that are like, who thought of this? Like,
yeah, we already talked about Van's weird whip sword thing.
And Carmen just has like a bladed yo-yo. She does good damage with it. And she's otherwise a neutral party throughout this whole endeavor before, as you might guess, she also eventually gets a more personal stake in like, like the overall plot. Mm-hmm. Because everything that the Claw has been doing has caused some amount of like harm or of some kind to like so many characters in their lives that they all want to like deal with him in some way, or at least like get answers to something that like they simply do not have.
Yeah, like she starts off as a very mercenary character doing things to survive and to like for money basically, but then she eventually grows like most characters do in this show.
All it takes is a tragedy happening to a good friend of hers and just being like, okay, fuck this actually. That said, though, like, Wendy's not the only character that gets to, like, remain relatively pure compared to all of these, like, compromised characters. Although this one I think is a bit too much on the straight and narrow, and that is Joshua Lundgren.
The punching bag of the show.
Otherwise, living proof that the trope of dumb blonde is not gender exclusive.
Absolutely not. God. The character Vaughn wishes would just go away.
Because, admittedly, his one good trait, Joshua is pretty handy with machines. You know, you gotta have a tech-savvy character in, like, your ensemble cast that are going on a big adventure.
Yeah.
But, unfortunately, he has the unfortunate trait of, like, not being able to read the fucking room.
Oh, he is so bad at that.
And also, like, sometimes being a bit too blunt in his honesty, just bringing up the fact that you don't really have many friends, do you?
I feel like Joshua would be a very annoying character if he was handled badly, but in a way, he's kind of... Just the way they treat him in the show, it makes it worth it because of... He's a joke most of the time, but it's like not a it's... How would you describe it?
I mean, he's definitely the comic relief.
Yeah, he's the comic relief.
You know?
Yeah.
But they at least, I think the reason he's still able to work and get away as comedy relief most of the time is that they did not decide to, like, forego any, like, deeper backstory for him.
Yeah.
You know, he actually has a proper background and a reason for hanging around with Vaughn and the others because, you know, he has a brother. He like an older brother, but he at least cares about his big brother's well-being because he is apparently going to do something very wicked.
Oh, yeah.
So let's talk about Ray Lundgren, the older brother, and basically the anti-Vaughn, I guess. Well, no, I guess... Well, he's as revenge-driven as Vaughn is, but he's definitely a lot edgier about it.
He's a very different main... He's a different kind of main character. He's somebody who could have been the main character of the show, in a way.
Yeah. He could be the star of, like, an OVA episode if this anime ever decided to do it.
Yeah.
Like just follow him only and just show how he views the world from his perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, this is part of, like, why I kind of question the idea of maybe calling him the anti-Vaughn, because, yeah, both of them are driven by revenge.
Yeah.
That is, like, their common factor.
Mm-hmm.
It's the aesthetics and weapon choice where he becomes the hard opposite, because if Vaughn comes off more as, like, a very morbid, unhealthily lean cowboy, Ray is a samurai that decided, what if my sword was just a gun?
And he'll do anything to get his revenge.
Yeah, Ray's entire look, you know, blonde hair, but it's all tied up in a way where it's like, you know, like it kind of fits the aesthetic of like a wandering samurai. Like the rest of his outfit definitely does. And I am not kidding about what if his sword was just a gun, because, like, it's not a gun blade like in the Final Fantasy sense.
No.
Nor is it like the, you know, Jetstream Sam, where his sheath is the gun that shoots out the sword. No. It's the sheath with the handle sticking out at an angle and, like, a trigger on it, and that's the gun.
That's the gun.
The bullets shoot out the bottom of the of like the handle. That's how it works, I guess. I don't know. I don't even want to imagine how fucking gigantic, like, the bullet magazine has to be.
You ever watch a show and you think to yourself, man, they must have had fun designing this? That's what I think about with this show sometimes with these weapons.
Yeah, it's like, I look at that, I'm like, man, this is like the best weapon design ever, and when I say best, I mean the dumbest.
The dumbest. It's so dumb, but that's what makes it good.
Yeah. Oh, everything about, like, what this anime has with, like, its robots, its characters, and all of its designs, it's like, it is 100% to keep you on your toes, because you have no idea what, like, insanely creative, like, batshit idea the writers and the animators are going to pull out on you.
Yeah.
So I guess with that established, why do we recommend Gunsword?
Yeah, why do we recommend this show?
It is kind of, as we were talking about, like, near the end of, like, the prehistory, it is one of those 2000s animes where it's like, before you even watch it, like, just the chances of you hearing about it in any sort of detail was probably, like, very slim. Like, it's definitely one that, like, does not, like, in the grand pantheon of the mecha genre, you know, Gunsword understandably is, like, not hitting, like, the same sort of, like a tier that all of, like, the genre heavy hitters have been at for decades, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But but that's also at the same time its strength, because like many good things, you remember for how unlike anything else it is in the genre. Especially because of the director's comments about it not being a Western series. Because, I mean, like, yeah, he does say that, and I think, like, the reasoning behind it, I can absolutely understand why, but that also does not mean that, you know, just because he doesn't call it, he doesn't think of it as a Western series, doesn't mean it still doesn't qualify that as that, like, to a degree.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like we talked about, like, Vaughn's entire design, the whole, like, episodic nature of the show, and how so much of it is, like, pulling on a lot of familiar Western tropes. Like, it's clearly still there. You can describe it as that, even if it's not the intended focus, because I do think the intent behind Taniguchi's statement was to show that this isn't another anime that sought to use robots as window dressing to make it stand out in a different genre.
Yeah.
They are absolutely the star of this anime, and it's all like the Western aesthetic stuff that is then layered on top of it to basically be like, no, let's make this a robot anime where, like, we have all this other shit on top of it that'll make it, like, you know, indistinguishable compared to its peers.
Yeah, that'll especially help it stand out.
Because otherwise, I imagine it would have been like a much more obnoxious thing with this show if the comments from the director were the opposite. Because you know it would absolutely attract those kind of assholes that try to be like unlike other mecha anime.
Oh god.
Like, at least this one, learning that this that this was how Taniguchi always viewed the anime and like said as much in interviews, makes me respect it a whole lot more than I already did when I first watched it, where I very much appreciated on its merits of like this is an awesome, goofy, like Western inspired super robot show.
Yeah.
You know, with still emphasis on it being a super robot show.
It definitely puts like the whole super robot part front and center in a lot of ways.
The robots are the stars, and the characters are no slouch either, like in terms of like how they themselves are able to stand out. I mean, like with the 5 that we talked about, I'm sure that like we got that point across pretty clearly. And it's like when you get to the one-off episodes where there are some characters where it's like, oh, they're not going to appear again. There'll still be some antics in those episodes that you're definitely never going to forget.
No, there's not. There is absolutely not. Like, these characters are still memorable in their own ways, and they're fun to watch. We wouldn't have as much fun with this anime if the characters weren't so vibrant and colorful.
Which is definitely a prerequisite if you're going to be having a lot of like vibrant and diverse robots, because it'd be good to have them actually match like the giant machines that are meant to represent their wills.
Yeah.
And as a final thing to like tie together what makes this show stand out, as it is a part of Vaughn's character to his very core, this is an anime about revenge. You know, gonna bring it back to like what we said at the start. And without saying too much about how the story goes by the end, it's not entirely inaccurate to say that revenge is justified.
Yeah.
It certainly doesn't try to make a case about it being bad, which I think, given the setting of Endless Illusion, there's really no room for such a thing, like to make that kind of argument. Like by the end, you do find that it's like Vaughn's revenge against the Claw as his driving motivation still front and center, but you also see how like more and more people are starting to be driven by like that same motivation in different ways based on, you know, what terrible things end up happening as a result of the Claw and his machinations.
Yeah, like, to be clear, this is not revenge is good actually in like an edgy way. This is saying sometimes there's a justified reason for it.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, it just presents it as almost like matter of fact, I guess you would say. Like, it's as much of like a neutral presentation it can in order to let you, the audience, like find your own takeaway from it and be like, oh yeah, that was worth it. Yeah.
It's not like you said, it stays neutral on it, and it just leaves you, the audience, to judge for yourself.
So where to watch Gun Sword? Well, for streaming, it's real easy if you want to go like the legit route, because, you know, you can find all 26 episodes, both subbed and dubbed on Crunchyroll. It's there. which is a relief after the past couple shows we talked about where it used to be on Crunchyroll and then took it down for no goddamn reason. And it's like even weirder considering that this is another one of those anime that was licensed by Funimation back in the day. So it was like, and all their shit got absorbed into Crunchyroll anyway. But that also does explain why it got a dub to begin with. Some of the voices, if you actually hear them, it's like, oh yeah, I recognize those voices. Yeah. Yuri Lowenthal as Joshua? Sure, I'll roll with that.
The same voice actors you'd expect in a dumb anime.
A 2005 dub anime that you would expect to air on like late Saturday nights on Adult Swim.
Yeah.
Which, I'll be honest, that's a vibe I could get behind.
Yeah.
But obviously, if you're someone that like is looking to get your anime like physically, there's plenty to be had secondhand, of course, from like individual DVDs to expensive as hell Blu-ray boxes. If you got the money for that, go for it. But obviously, the convenience for watching it digitally, either through legal means or sailing the high seas, is clearly there.
Yeah.
I guess it is important to note, though, as well, that this was definitely the case with my legally acquired copies of the anime, is that one episode in particular actually has two different versions because they had to censor the shit out of it when they aired it on TV originally.
Really?
It's for sexual reasons.
Oh, okay.
I think you know the one.
Yeah, I think I know.
That said, I don't think Crunchyroll like has that actual distinction on there. I imagine it's just the case of you're just gonna get the unedited one. I don't know. I try not to use Crunchyroll anymore myself, but I imagine there are other people that don't mind. So I'm just laying all the options out there.
You definitely have easier options for this show if you want to watch it.
You really don't have to worry about feeling like you missed your chance to like watch it easily because companies decided to just take it away from you for no goddamn reason.
Yeah.
So with that out of the way, got to transition to our second half of the show.
Yeah. And
talk about some good old spoilers.
This is where we talk about where we go deep into a show.
We got 2 episodes for you. And I guess as like a final word regarding that, well, aside from the usual, if this sounds interesting to you, stop this episode and watch Gunsword right now. Otherwise, stick around. But I guess an important thing to note is that we have mentioned the name of the Claw already quite a number of times and like made him seem like this enigmatic figure that all the characters, like their motivations are driving them towards. There are a lot of shows where it is like, we will just spoil whatever the hell we talk about once we get into the second half, even if it is something that is like not related to the episodes we talk about. We make some exceptions for certain elements.
Yeah.
This is the first one since we did the Bravern episode where it's like, we're going to refrain from like actively spoiling one particular detail, and that is who the Claw is. Like, we are serious when we say this is something that you absolutely need to discover for yourself.
Yeah.
If only so you can get the sensation of getting blindsided the same way we did.
Yeah, it is legitimately, like, I don't want to oversell it, but seeing who the Claw is one of the best twists in the show. And it is something we very much encourage you, the audience, to see for yourself, to experience it as well.
Especially because, in a rare case, this is one of those twists where it's like, even when you look back through it, there is virtually no foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Like, it is wild it's able to get away with that and just be like, oh, you pulled this out of nowhere, but it still works.
It works. It works really well.
So we'll see you on the other side as we talk about episodes that have nothing to do with the Claw whatsoever, but actually have to do with other great moments. See you then.
See you, everyone.
Chesto!
And of course, the episode we're talking about has to be episode 3. Come on!
Yep. Heroes one more time. I mean, like, unsurprisingly, really?
Yeah.
Like, just getting this out of the way, both of our highlight episodes have to do with 2 of the robots that we talked about in our primary mecha section.
Yeah, and one of them, of course, has to be the Eldora 5 episode. We had to talk about it.
The first episode of the series where by the time you get here, Taniguchi's comments about this being a super robot anime and not a Western anime starts to finally click in.
Yeah.
Because the first 2 episodes, they definitely get you into thinking, oh, okay, space Western, like Trigun.
Yeah.
I get it. I've seen this before. Wait, why is there a giant robot?
Why is Gaigar in this show?
So our story starts in the town of Gloria, with a group of old men getting drunk and arguing about days long past. Can you believe these old shits were their own combiner robot team?
Somehow.
Yes.
Yeah.
These are the pilots of Eldora 5. Although, curiously, there's only 4 of them. God, I don't even want to imagine what, like, how Chizuru would... I don't want to imagine what she would be like if she was also joining in on all the loud drinking. I don't... Oh, God.
From... We just get, like, stories of what Chizuru's like, and they might be exaggerated, but if they're not, then, oh my God, she must have been a giant fire starter. She might have been a bigger mess than all of them.
It could either be she was the biggest mess out of all 5 of them, or she was the only thing that, like, kept these four boys under control. Or I guess 3. One of them's always asleep.
Yeah.
But never mind. But Vaughn and Wendy, our actual heroes, do arrive, showing once again how much of a pain it is to drag Vaughn fucking everywhere when he gets hungry or thirsty. Yeah, like, literally having to, like, Wendy straight up had to tie him to her goddamn rolling suitcase to, like, drag him over to the Pink Amigo Tavern. And just like, please get us some food and water. This lazy ass will not get up. And then he proceeds to murder a bunch of fries.
Just dumping it all with mayo and ketchup. And it's like, oh, I hate it.
A little ketchup for fries is fine. Yeah. I get it. You don't need to, like, fill it so much that it is dripping off of the plate. Think of the wait staff, goddammit. it.
Yeah, and especially have to clean that up. How do you even eat that? Ugh.
And so our old drunk amigos, Nero, Jose, Barrio, and Carlos. I mean, well, again, no. I mean, Carlos is there, but again, he's just asleep, getting dragged everywhere. They all decide to get friendly with Vaughn because, you know, they recognize the name. Like, by this point, after 2 episodes, his exploits have been starting to spread quite a lot, and you get, like, a bunch of different nicknames or whatever, but it's like the whole reason they start talking is because they're like, hey, you're an armor rider, right? We're armor riders too! That makes you our junior!
Yeah.
Let me tell you what real armor riding's about.
You know, of course, they couldn't help themselves, and they're even like, we'll offer you real food. Here, have some tacos.
And that's even before, like, the forced tequila.
Yeah.
Like, even though they find someone that they think they can talk to and have something in common, they're still being loud and obnoxious, and the ruckus, like, pushes things too far yet again here at the bar. And we get so close to, like, a good old-fashioned Western barroom fight.
Yeah.
Before everyone realizes that it's kind of fucked up beating the shit out of the elderly.
Yeah, they were all ready to rumble, but then the guys were like, oh, fuck. Oh, this is...
Yeah, all it took was just knocking over, like... I don't even think it was a case of, like, they had to, like, physically knock over one of them. Yeah, it was like Nero was, like, way too fucking drunk during the day that he just fell over the instant he got up out of his seat.
Yeah.
And that's, like, where it started to, like, you know, settle in for everyone. It's like... Bro, I get it, these guys are annoying us, but it's like, that doesn't feel good beating up on these old timers. But again, a lot of it just stems from the fact that, like, they, you know, these heroes, they're short one from, like, from what they previously were because Chizuru passed away. And it's like, all they really have left at this point, now that the town has been at peace for so long, that it's like, they just talk about the glory days. And the people that would have known about the glory days aren't around anymore, or at least most of them aren't. That's the pain of getting older, is when it's just talking about shit that, like, no longer matters to people that are, like, a generation or 2 younger than you.
Yeah, and everybody's like, we're just hearing the same stories, old man. Please just spare us from that. We get it. You were a big deal.
And even so, it's like, they're like, those old fogies aren't the only ones that are having to deal with, like, this particular pain. It's like the owner of the Pink Amigo, you know, named after Chizuru herself, like, is her granddaughter Yukiko, and, like, she's basically, like, stuck in a pretty rough position where, like, she feels tied to, like, her hometown, considering her grandmother was a hero that, like, protected the peace. While her boyfriend was like, seriously, this place is a dump. Like, let's just start traveling the planet, go to other towns, like, find better prospects. It'll be great. You know, like, that kind of classic dilemma that, you know, like, if not a teenager, then at the very least a very young adult would be going through.
Yeah, like, let's just leave this town and go for something better, or something like that.
But at least the old men are still keeping Vaughn company.
Yeah.
Regrettably. Against his will.
Oh,
with tequila.
He doesn't want to be bothered at all. But they keep bothering.
Yeah, like we are not kidding about how much like Vaughn is such an antisocial, like kind of abrasive ass that is like he is always so quick to just be like refusing anyone's courtesy or hospitality.
Mm-hmm.
He feels more comfortable just living on the street like a bum. Whereas Wendy takes the offer to at least like lodge at like in one of the rooms upstairs at the Pink Amigo for that night.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, unfortunately, like just hanging out at night on the street doesn't save Vaughn from getting force-fed a bottle of tequila. And yeah, just poor guy. I mean, like,
yeah.
I mean, the part where his palate is that of a child when it comes to food,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's on him. That's a flaw.
Yeah.
Him being especially lightweight with alcohol, I do not blame him on, least of all just because like I never have like my palate for liquids is already like so limited as is that it's like if I don't like soda, what the fuck would I get out of drinking alcohol? So it's like I sympathize at least with someone if it's like they're not able to hold their own liquor.
Yeah.
And it's something that they're not used to.
Mm-hmm.
That it's like yeah, that's fine. Just don't hurt yourself like this, man.
When I was watching this, I just kind of realized, man, Van is like the opposite of a badass character, where he does have his moments where he gets to be like cool and badass, but otherwise it's like, man, you're kind of a lightweight in a lot of ways, and you don't even barely take care of yourself, dude. You're a mess. You're a hot mess.
But regardless, the late night incident basically like got all the old men thrown into the county jail because, yeah, that makes sense. I think even though Vaughn is not a minor, I think force feeding alcohol like that it constitutes a crime.
Probably does.
It's at least a somewhat sobering moment for them, considering that the sheriff of the town basically has to tell them to be like, seriously, you were my heroes when I was a kid, and you are reduced to this kind of behavior in your old age. You're alienating everyone. Please stop making me embarrassed. I don't want this. Like just a sobering talking down to make them realize, like, bro, you really have been taking your shit too fucking far.
It's like,
just relax,
Grandpa, please
enjoy the peace.
Grandpa, please stop.
But alas, there was one other character that was doing his own shit throughout this entire episode that we didn't even like mention earlier on because it was kind of stitched in between like the scenes of the Pink Amigo. Mm-hmm. But like there's like the weird inventor dude on the outskirts who basically got an invitation to be like, hey, could you come to the town meeting with the mayor tomorrow morning? Everyone will be there. It's like, no thanks, I don't have time, fuck off. Like closes the door, like all the windows are barred up anyway, because this guy, Bucci, is a mad scientist who unleashes a giant robot monster on the town the very next day. Well, I guess it's time for Vaughn to do things like, oh wait, no, never mind. The old men are going to do it instead. And Vaughn is just going to be like, nah, it's not my problem.
It says so much about Van in this scene where there's like all this chaos happening and it's like, not getting involved with that. Like, he doesn't even know the old men are going to get involved. He's just like, nah, I'm just going to bother.
Yeah, he says that before he sees the guys, like, walking down the street in their fucking, like, in their hero getup. Barrio's still carrying Carlos on his back because the fucker is still asleep. Yep. You would think that, like, especially in any other show, like, if this was the main gimmick, he would wake up, like, when he could tell that it was like, oh, the peace is being disturbed. It is time for us heroes to be called into action. Nah, he's still just going to be carried through the whole thing.
No, he's still asleep. He's going to be asleep the whole time.
So we get them returning to their old base, releasing their combining machines, and forming a true-blooded super robot with key animation and everything for the combination. 5-unit combination. Eldora 5. 4 this time. My mistake. Yeah, again, they never found a replacement. Cheeser's still gone.
Yeah. Still only fun.
But at least you see there's a neat difference when it comes to Eldora 4 compared to 5. When you see this first, is that all the colors are very desaturated on it.
Mm-hmm. Just showing that it's not in full power yet.
Yeah, since there's no one to pilot the Pink Amigo, it's just sitting in the hangar while Eldora 4 has to deal with like the big robot tentacle monster thing. Mm-hmm. And like, you know, even though they still know how to pilot their machines and like do all their usual moves, age is still caught up to them. They're still struggling to fight as well as they did in their prime. Least of all, again, because they are one machine short. But they're still not going to stop being heroes and try to save the people that mocked them for being old-timers, at least. Like, even knowing full well that, like, all the people in town kind of think that they're a nuisance after all this time. Like, there's enough of that heroic selflessness in them that is like, they are still worth saving because that is what a hero does.
Yeah, they're still showing they got the spirit in them to still save the day.
Yeah. Especially now that the young generation who have basically grown up without Eldora 5 needing to protect the town, seeing it happen to the first time and witnessing firsthand, like, the threat of having their homes destroyed, finally start to see, oh shit, these old men weren't lying. Like do your best, Eldora 5, go for it.
Yeah, and
have Chizuru's granddaughter start singing a song that is like basically Eldora 5's like vocal theme.
Yeah, the way they handle it is, okay, it was already like foreshadowed a little like earlier with her singing a song that to calm the old men down, and now she's singing it again. And it eventually like transitions into a full ass theme of like the theme of Eldora 5 as they fight. And it rules.
Yeah, like if this had been its own anime, that would 100% have been the opening.
Yeah.
Like it's that classic OP power-up moment. But that said, like as all these hype moments are layering on, guess what? Vaughn gets to make his sole contribution to the fight. He's not going to join the fight with Donna Thursday, but he's going to use it to fastball special Chizuru's old machine to Eldora 5 and complete the combination, unleashing the real Eldora 5. Like this is the one where it's like he throws it and then miraculously, like without any extra controls, it just by itself orients itself properly to attach to Eldora's back as the wings, giving it full color. Even though it is down one arm technically because it sustained battle damage, it's still enough to get it to like power back up. And this is especially where I think like the Gao Gaigar homage really starts to sink in.
Yeah.
Is that it's the face mask that pops up.
Yes.
That exact same fucking style as like that you see on Gao Gaigar or not Jay Decker, Jay Phoenix, I think it was, or whatever the one, the Jay something. Fuck, I can't believe I'm forgetting this.
You should know. You should know about this.
I should, but again, like I watched Jay Decker in more recent years, so that's kind of at the forefront now of robots that start with the letter J. It's Jadar. It's fucking King Jadar. That's the name of the robot from Gao Gaigar that I failed to recall when recording this episode. I wasn't going to let this go live unless I made the correction myself instead of letting comments point it out for me. There. It's done. And now back to the show. Whatever. Who cares? We get to the end of this Super Robot Pro Wrestling match as Eldora 5 gets the upper hand, lays the smackdown, finishes off with like just some hot-blooded yelling of, oh, Eldora 5 Ultimate! Adios, amigo!
Then we get a giant explosion and everybody cheers, and for a good reason. And I just like this whole episode, and this robot just feels like a love letter to combining mechs and the Brave series.
And a very strong, hopeful message about kind of no matter the time, no matter like how long peace has been around, the people still need heroes.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter who they are or how old they get. Doesn't matter how much shame they get in the interim. They're still going to do what they need to.
Yeah.
Which is like basically kind of like the whole reason why this entire fight happened is because of Bucci feeling like he had been like basically like marked as an outcast. It's either they hated him for it, that he became an outcast, or he self-inflicted it on himself over guilt from the fact that like he tried to make a contribution to the town with his inventions but ended up like fucking things up bad.
Yeah.
So it's like really when you get down to what the fight is about, it is a fight between like people presumed to be rejects.
Yeah.
But the winner is ultimately one who realizes that, like, he is not, that they are not letting, like, the public opinion dissuade them from being who they are at their core.
Yeah, it's like the people might reject us, but we still believe in our hearts to be like, we still want to save them. We still want to help them. Yeah, even the
they'll save him just so that he can actually, like, atone for his mistakes properly and not go off the deep end thinking he has to go the supervillain route.
Yeah. which is just a really nice, hopeful
Yeah.
message for the at the end of this episode.
Least of all because, like, Vaughn's actual, like, intervention with it is super minimal.
Yeah,
like, this is Eldora's episode 100%.
Yeah, Vaughn might
like he's there. He's off to the next location along with Wendy, but at least not before like everyone like took like a group photo that's now hanging on the walls in the Pink Amigo. And finally, after all this time, Carlos wakes up from his dream. Which what he starts describing in his dream was like, oh no, that was real, buddy. You were there the whole time. Yeah, it's such a good ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a great ending.
And the best part too, regarding Carlos waking up at that moment, the next time he wakes up for anything is the hypest shit.
It's done really well. You just need to see that episode for yourself.
Yeah, just know it's like in the end game of the show where everyone is like giving all of what they got to fight the Claw. Because yes, Eldora 5, like when we said they were reoccurring, I said they were reoccurring as like members of the hero team all the way to the very end.
Yeah.
Again, this show's production, they realized when they made this episode, even though it was a one-off initially, they're like, we are not going to just like set this thing aside. We are going to get more mileage out of this fucking robot.
Yeah, no, this is not the last time you'll see them. Like we mentioned, we're gonna see a lot of these guys.
So we'll get to our second episode then on our highlight discussion. Episode 14, Swift Brownie. Yep, as the title suggests, we're also talking about another robot. One of the robots we talked about. This is their episode. This is the introduction of Brownie and its pilot. It directly follows after the mid-series story arc, by the way, like immediately after, I would say, and kind of is where the show kind of gets back to feeling a bit more like it is in the first half, where it is very episodic, but obviously like they're still layering on more like in the background like aspects of like the greater narrative at large. Be like, oh yeah, even though these are still misadventures, it's still leading up to the eventual confrontation between the heroes and the Claw.
Yeah.
So we're going from an homage to like 70s super robots to an episode that just has a plot right out of G Gundam. Giant robot money matches. Let's go.
Yeah, this might as well just be the G Gundam episode here with how things go.
And one thing that actually should be noted about this anime as it has gone on is I guess when it comes to music and more specifically how OPs tend to be for a lot of anime, Gun Sword's OP is real fucking weird because it is just a like kind of generic almost instrumental piece.
Yeah.
That it feels like something that a studio that was localizing and dubbing an anime in the 2000s would use in place of getting the rights to like the original OP or something. Like this is like Inuyasha season 1 levels of like, yeah, we're just replacing the OP with something completely different.
Yeah, it does. It feels that way. It's not my favorite OP, but I at least like even the way they have the characters slowly appearing like throughout is kind of weird.
Because the idea is that like a lot of the major characters are all hidden in silhouette until you get past the episode in which they are first introduced.
Yeah.
So like compared to how it was like in the like in like episode 3 when we talk about it, there was like none of the antagonists had their identities revealed, and you only saw the image of like Vaughn, Wendy, and I think Carmen. But now we're at the point where it is like, the Claw and his accomplices are all revealed. We also have long since been introduced to Joshua and Ray. But even when we get to this episode, there is still one silhouette that has been around since the very beginning, and that character finally gets introduced here, and that is Priscilla, who is the pilot of Brownie. She this is her episode essentially, as it's all focusing around a build up to Vaughn and Priscilla having a big fight in like these like armor like robot fighting matches. And obviously as part of the tension is that the organizer of the event has like plans to have the outcome completely fixed, because of course he would.
Of course.
But Vaughn needs the money.
Yeah.
Because him and his crew at this point, they have their own land base. They have their own white, like white base essentially.
Mhm.
That is basically how they are now getting from point A to B, which is finding where the claw is and actually take him down.
Yeah.
Because they need all the equipment, weapons, everything they can get to take this bastard down.
Yeah. At this point, they're like, no, he's a big deal. We need to do something about him, actually.
And if it means having to take part in like, you know, fixed money matches, so be it. Like Vaughn is, you know, you can tell is like he's still being the same as he always is. Like, whatever, I'll just do it.
Mm.
But Carmen is like especially ruthless about the whole thing, where it's like, yeah, we need the money. Like the expenses for our repairs like aren't gonna like cover themselves. We just got to do it. Oh yeah, and Josh was still here.
Oh yeah, Joshua is still there, kind of.
Yeah, he had a bad time in the previous episodes that like he's like been needing to like be hospitalized, and that is going to be the cause of him being the punchline for multiple moments in this episode.
He's gonna
as it always cuts to him in his hospital bed, arm reaching up, screaming at the top of his lungs, begging for Vaughn to not leave him, as the doctors tell him, "Kid, shut the fuck up."
And then you just eventually you see him get more and more wrapped up and like chained up as the episode goes on. People just get so sick of him. And even Vaughn is like, can we just leave him behind, please?
Poor dumbass. He just wants to stop his brother from getting revenge.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the funny thing that's going on. But otherwise, you are getting treated to plenty of animation of Brownie in action, showing like how good of a fighter Priscilla is, and like, you know, like a lot of the reasoning that's going on behind the scenes for like why, you know, the organizers are trying to fix this match, because like it's being run by like the big railroad company. They're like wanting to invest heavily in armor development, you know, capitalist shit.
Yeah,
of course.
Of course.
And all this is like the reason they try to enlist Vaughn for this is because shit happened with like their previous like basically star fighter that they hired, where I guess like shit happened along the way that like his arrival has been significantly delayed. So it's like, well, we're not gonna wait any longer. You're the best guy for the job. You'll do it, right?
Yeah.
And signs him up, even knowing full well that it's like the press is waiting outside immediately because he told them, oh yeah, I've got a new armor writer signed on for this. It's all good, even though the ink has not been like signed on to the paper at all.
Yeah.
Like, man is so confident in his plan that it is going to work.
Which is going to backfire on him so badly later on.
Best way, honestly.
Yeah.
But even outside of that, it's like, you know, the episode's doing a lot to like pile on all like a lot of stuff to highlight the moral dilemma regarding the title match with Priscilla, and like, you know, whether to go along with like the organizer's plan with like what Giovanni wants, because you see some of like what Priscilla's life outside of the ring is like she's looking after a group of orphans along with like a friend of hers, like they always refer to her as like mama or mother, but obviously it's like not their actual mother. It's more like in the Catholic orphanage sense.
Yeah.
Like the mother of the orphanage passed on, so Priscilla's been taking up the responsibility to keep looking after the kids until they can like grow up and like lead their own lives. So that's obviously why the money is important to her and why she's fighting, especially when I guess because the mother was also the previous pilot of Brownie.
Yeah.
So I guess she was like a fighting nun in this case.
I guess so. Like that might be what they're hinting at here.
If so, good for you, Queen.
You get that.
But it does also show that like not only she's refusing to throw the match because the whole reason this plan Giovanni has gone to the way that it is because her his first option was to try and bribe Priscilla into throwing the match completely. And all the while like Carmen, Vaughn, and Wendy are like eavesdropping on this whole thing and kind of realizing that like the extent to which they're being used is like real fucking dirty, but you know, Wendy does not like it at all. But it doesn't change the fact that Vaughn and Carmen are in agreement of like, bro, we need the money, and we're not gonna like throw the match for her as like a favor. It would not be fair.
Yeah,
like if she's not gonna throw it, I'm not gonna throw it. Like there's a weird honor among warriors, which you would not expect to see among someone like so lazy and antisocial as Vaughn.
Yeah, even he's like, no, I'm just gonna do it my best. I'm gonna still give this match my best shot.
And also halfway through, we get a short scene with some of the Claw's accomplices. No, we are still not telling you who the Claw is or what happens. But, I mean, like, yeah, they're basically just on a train, and it's like, it's basically foreshadowing for, like, a separate episode a little bit after this, because one of the characters sees Dawn of Thursday get summoned, and you would think that it's supposed to imply, oh, he's gonna, like, try and interrupt the match to take down Vaughn because he's an enemy of the Claw. No, that's not entirely. Like, Dawn just got called down in order to be, like, properly registered into the fight itself.
Yeah. Also, we're not talking about the character. We didn't talk about him during our character section, but I just want to mention him here. One of the reasons why I kept thinking, does the director hate Seed? Is because Michael, I think that was his name, right? Michael?
Mikhail. I think it's how they pronounce it, but again, Japanese phonetics.
Yeah, Japanese phonetics. Mikhail is voiced by the same VA as Kira Yamato. It is the exact same voice actor. He has almost the same design as Kira, and he has almost the same like motivations in a way. And it's like, is there something there? I don't know. Am I looking at like shadows? Am I looking at nothing here? Am I projecting my own feelings about Gundam Seed? Who can say?
I don't know, but it's funny.
It's funny though. It's a funny coincidence.
Yeah. Regardless, like those goons, they don't matter to the rest of this episode.
No, they're just
they literally just show up as foreshadowing for future events and to remind you, oh hey, they're here. This stoic asshole and these two shit kids. They still exist.
Yeah, they will be
fuck those kids especially.
Yeah, pretty much. Fuck them kids.
And also, don't worry, Doctor, you're not overdoing it with all the restraints. Though, might I suggest some powerful sedatives to keep Joshua from screaming all the fucking time?
I'm surprised nobody has tried to drug Joshua to calm him down.
It just gets so much more funny to me when like I look at like all like the restraints and how it escalates that I'm like, jeez, you might as well just put him into a gimp suit and a ball gag and call it a day.
Yeah.
Like, this is veering close to that.
It's getting so close. You're right.
Like, the black leather straps do not help it.
No. Oh, poor Joshua.
You poor, dumb, blonde fucking kid. Yeah, comedy aside. Oh, yeah, also, I guess I forgot to mention the one thing even before the final fight itself is we actually get like another one-to-one meeting between Priscilla and Vaughn, basically outside of the media circle. And it's basically you get to see like the first moment of Priscilla's obviously one-sided romance with Vaughn as they just kind of like hang out in the junkyard.
And this is where there's a weird running joke where all the ladies are attracted to Vaughn somehow. He has some kind of aura to him that attracts the ladies.
It's the protagonist aura.
The protagonist aura is too strong with him.
See, like if only Ray was the protagonist, then he'd be getting way more girls. Although, actually, no, I think considering like his motivation for revenge is because he also lost his wife, that wouldn't help.
No. But he'd have it. It's just that it all went to Vaughn instead.
Yeah, but it is sort of the where it's like, again, kind of going back to like the sort of the G Gundam-esque vibes of this episode. Is like these two have a chemistry and like are able to like get a bit more of like a certain type of character out of Vaughn that like you get the same sort of chemistry between these two, kind of like between Domon and Allenby.
Yeah.
It's all because like they have the common kind of like understanding of like what it means like being like of piloting an armor and just kind of like the effort that goes into fighting really well with it.
Yeah.
Because that definitely comes through once we get to our title match. Dawn versus Brownie, Vaughn versus Priscilla. We all can't wait to see this fight, and more importantly, to see Giovanni get his shit wrecked, greasy bastard.
Oh, yeah. Oh, we sure will.
Yeah, because we get a whole lot of, like, really fantastic, like, fight choreography and animation as, like, Brownie's, like, surefire techniques are 100% being countered by Vaughn with, like, his sort of quick thinking and, like, especially reckless behavior, like stabbing yourself in order to stab the person that is trying to stab you from behind. Sure, that works.
It looks cool, though. But yeah, like, there's definitely...
It does, yeah.
A lot of energy, and you can already see, like, oh, the chemistry between these two. Oh, they both understand each other, and they're all both having fun. They even mentioned during the fight that oh, Priscilla hasn't been smiling this much since like before her mother died.
All the adrenaline's flowing, and it's pushing Priscilla enough that like she is able to push Brownie further by just completely removing all of its additional armor. So now it is especially slim and like looking more like a naked Jehuti or some kind. Again, like just the general aesthetics is like it could easily be an orbital frame. You just need to put a giant cock on the groin and like have Priscilla like be seated in there.
Yeah, then
I guess
then it'd be about the same.
I can't believe Kojima Productions were able to get away with like such a shit post of an idea for mecha designs.
How did they get away with giant cockpits? I like actual that look like actual cocks. What the hell?
For like a literal fucking pun. That really only works primarily in English for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
But I mean, considering how popular Metal Gear is everywhere, it's like Kojima and Shinkawa were like, oh, they'll get it.
They'll get it. And they probably had enough sway to get away with it. We're like, yeah, we're going to do that. Nobody can stop us.
I mean, whatever. Yeah. Like, we all know Tomino got away with a bunch of bullshit names because the execs at Sunrise never looked at what he was making. Yeah. I'm sure the same was for Konami execs. These people do not read or watch or absorb any of the products that they sell.
No, they probably saw, oh, Kojima? Okay, sure, do whatever.
Yeah. Oh, what? It didn't sell? Okay, back to Metal Gear for you.
Gear, yeah. But anyways.
So as the fight has been escalating, remember earlier in the episode we mentioned how Giovanni, like the organizer, he mentioned he had a finalist already prepared for the match, but unfortunately due to like scheduling issues, he wasn't going to make it, and Vaughn was given the job instead. Well, this moment right here is a lesson in why you should never double book people for events like this, because guess who shows up?
It's the original guy. He's here, and nobody's happy about it.
Yeah, the original guy with a fucking, like, train robot with, like, a wheel made out of train tracks that runs in like a hamster wheel. We are not making this shit up.
It is such a weird design. But I guess it doesn't matter because he's getting his shit rocked in.
Yeah, least of all because, you know, with how the fight was going beforehand, it's like, not only are Vaughn and Priscilla giving it their all, but the crowd is 100% getting into it. Yeah. Like, they are getting their money's worth regardless of who wins. Yeah. You know? Whereas, you know, Giovanni doesn't care. He just wants to make sure Priscilla loses. Which is why as soon as Super Armor arrives, like, crowd sentiment completely changes to being like, boo, get the fuck out of here.
This man. No, we don't.
As Vaughn realizes it's like, oh, you're the original champ? Okay, it's not my problem anymore. Priscilla, kick his ass. And just leaves.
He just gets up and leaves. He's not even like, I'm not even gonna. Oh, well, okay, bye.
Yeah, and Priscilla just ends the fight in 1 minute, becoming the victor. Not only making Giovanni lose tons of money in the process, but also because this technically ended up somehow being a violation of the contract terms due to the fact that, like, you know, when they signed it, the expectation was that the previous finalist was not going to show up and, like, you know, take the spot, which ended up happening. Yeah. So it's like, okay, you lose money. Now you lose even more money by paying us for compensation. So Vaughn and his crew still come out of this with money. Everyone wins except for Giovanni. Eat shit, loser.
Fuck that guy. You shouldn't have done that, baby. This is what you get for all your slimy dealings. But yeah, everybody wins.
Stuff like this is like, these are the best Daemon X Machinas. Or Deus Ex Machinas. Fuck. Why did the goddamn video game has like ruined that original phrase for me. Jesus Christ.
I get it. But yeah,
just the kind of out of nowhere like solution to something where you feel like everything is set up to be like, there is only one of two ways to solve this, and they are both bad. But then the sudden out of nowhere solution is like, oh, how terribly convenient that it's funny.
It's funny. So that's why I give it a pass. It's because it fits with the show. It's not like out of place.
It's like a few steps below the vegan police and Scott Pilgrim.
Yes.
But I still love both.
Yeah. It's amazing how much you can get away with shit when it's funny.
This anime really knows how to, like, set up a good punchline, even when, like, there's no setup
Yeah.
or virtually none. like no hints whatsoever
No.
prior to this that the original finalists might have had a chance of arriving like at all.
Absolutely none, but it still works. To the show's credits.
Yeah. Because Priscilla won like the prize money that like she's able to like use that to continue supporting like all the orphans. Vaughn and his crew like got their little slice of cash in order to like get all the repairs they need for their for their moving land base. But before they leave, Priscilla, as thanks, gives a little gift of like homemade sweets or whatever to Vaughn, and to everyone's shock, Vaughn, this grumpy, lazy, antisocial, revenge-focused cat of a human being, actually accepted Priscilla's gift like a normal person would and called her by name.
And it just shocks everyone. It's like, what?
And he's like, guys, what's the big deal? I mean, it's her name. Even Wendy and Carmen are both in agreement of this being weird as shit.
They're probably feeling a little bit of that jealousy there. It's like, oh, you motherfucker, Vaughn.
Yeah.
You motherfucker.
I mean, never mind the fact that, like, again, like, we are serious when we say that, like, the romance between the two is, like, one-sided toward Priscilla.
Yeah.
Like, she's not going to score with him.
No.
But, I mean, she'll try.
She'll try.
Because even after this moment of when they part, much like with Eldora 5, of course Priscilla is going to show up again with Brownie to help the heroes fight against the Claw and defeat him. All these are just stepping stones towards, like, a much, much grander finale.
Yeah.
And oh boy, there's some amazing shit that happens.
It is a great finale. Which, once again, if you haven't watched the show, I hope we convinced you to watch it yourself and give it some time.
Definitely. I mean, 26 episodes. You know, like we said, you are dealing with like with something that is like the length of like 2 seasons of like modern shows today. But I mean, like it still works out. Like I'll constantly sound like a broken record every time I bring this up. But like I do very much miss when we could have like anime, like giant robot anime, let alone any anime, in general that could like go for like this type of length and have like enough room where it's like, yeah, we could have a fleshed out narrative, and we still have room to spare on like fun one-off episodes that you can just like take or leave as you see fit.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally you would still watch them because they have something of value either way.
Yeah.
But it's like, we don't need to rush towards the end.
We don't need to rush. We could take our time to tell a full story and also have enough episodes to tell one-off stories too.
100%. Yeah. For like a mid-2000s anime, you're never going to forget just a lot of the weird shit that happens in here, from like just all the different robot designs, the character quirks, some of the really outrageous, goofy plots that happen sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't even talk about other stuff like the one episode where Vaughn is constantly getting accosted by 2 lovebirds trying to rob his armor before realizing that they were actually like, oh, one of them was like, the girl was the daughter of a mob boss, and so they get involved.
Yeah, there's some wild episodes. It gets so weird. And I hope we convinced you how good this anime is. I would consider this a hidden gem of a show.
Definitely. Yes. Thanks, Ned, for being on.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone at home for watching, for tuning in, listening, like whichever platform you get our podcast, it's fine. But tune in next time where we talk about fantasy robots in another world. And let me just tell you right now, that statement is not as specific as you might think it is.
No, it's not. See you, everyone.